Welcome to another episode of my series, Teching You Out. My name is Khloé George. I am a creative entrepreneur, friends lover, interior designer, lover of all things tech and digital, but most importantly, your new biz BFF. In this series, I will walk you through the ins and outs of the tech software you will need to automate, organize, and elevate your biz so you can get back to doing the things you love most, which is creating. So make sure to check it out. To another Teching You Out series video. So in my last time ago video, well, it's been a while since I touched on Milanote. So I wanted to go over not the logistics, the technical parts of Milanote, because I already kind of explained it in there, how you log on, what you do with it. But I wanted to walk you through kind of my design process in using it and how I use it with clients in order to bring a design to life, like the process, the mood board, the executions, for the approvals of things like that. So kind of wanted to show you what that looks like. And so on my screen here, you can see that I have a few projects that I'm working on. Some are my personal projects and some are client projects. And so I'm going to go over two of them. So I'm going to go over my personal project, actually three of them. So I'm going to go over my personal projects and then two other projects that I did for clients. One of them is actually the same client, and some other ones that I've done I've already deleted off of the board. But Milanote is basically your board, your online board on crack. So if you're a designer of some sort, whether you're an artist or you're an event designer, an interior designer, you usually do a lot of mood boards and you get like this layout to give to your client so they can kind of see your vision and where you're going. But it also helps you kind of organize all those moving pieces. And what Milanote does is literally give you like a mood board platform where you can import color palettes, you can import pictures, you can have a conversation with the client, you can make comments, you can add links. I mean, it's amazing. So I want to show you kind of what I want to start with, kind of what I wanted to do when I wanted to bring up or change the colors in my home for the fall from a summer transition, everyday transition into something a little more fall. And so I made a board on it. I kind of touched on it in some of my reels and things like that, but I wanted to show you what it looks like. So this would be the board. So it's called the Fall Refresh. And again, what it allows me to do is I'm able to add my color palette, add inspiration picks, add a to-do list over here, any comments that I might need, and I can also add different boards within the main board. So this is kind of like the main board and kind of where I wanted to go for that fall feeling and all the things. Some of the pieces here, you can see they're not just inspiration, I actually purchased them. So, but I wanted to put it all together and kind of what I was thinking of that I wanted to do into one space where you can clearly see it. And so again, this is a to-do list I added of things that I needed to get and just comments on where I was putting these items on. It's just comments for me, basically. And then in order to create this mood board, you're literally dropping pictures on it, dropping links, dropping things like that. So I wanted to show you one cool factor of it. So again, this is the main fall refresh for my entire home. And in here, I have references to other parts of the house. So for the bathroom decor, this is kind of what I wanted to do. And this is kind of the plan where I kind of circle things, arrows, what my bathroom currently looks like, what I wanted to add, what kind of color palette I wanted to add. So this is in this space. But as you can see from here, it's still under the main board of the fall refresh. If we go into the references, it's kind of everything that I wanted to get. And it's everything of the project and its progression. So because I was transitioning into the fall and I had a lot of things going on where I had other projects, I didn't really get to finish like the references part of what I needed to do here. But these are templates that are already available under Milanote. They offer it to you in case you can't come up with something on your own. You kind of use their templates, which I don't know about you, but I love a good template. If it's already kind of done in place and all I have to do is finagle just a few things, that's usually where I tend to go to, as opposed to creating something completely from scratch, because I don't have the time. And if it's, like I said, if I take a template and I just fix a few things that are catered more to how I work, then that makes it better for me. It's kind of like a jumping point. I need a jumping point, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So with this, these are obviously the options, right? So let's create a board within a board, right? And we're going to add, so from your left-hand side menu bar, you will see that there is a board section here. You will just literally drag it to the current board. And now in order to create that board, you can leave it blank, but once you click on it, Milanote, let me move myself over. Milanote does give you an option to use a template board. So this would be an empty board where you kind of just drop in all of your pictures, kind of like, I use it for ideas. When I just want to drop everything in there, I kind of just use it for ideas. Then they have a project plan, which is for them is about the project, inspiration, development, production, review. So again, I really like when it's template out like this, so I know kind of what to do, where to go, and then fix it as I need it. So that's one of them. Then they have a mood board. It's just, again, just your classic mood board. Nothing too exciting, kind of like what I did with the fall refresh. Then they have an interior design brief where it has all of everything that you need. It has the links, the project, the style references. So you can use this as well, and you can go through it and see what it is that they do with it. Then you have a brainstorming board, which I really love. So you take an image and you kind of work with it, and you put in just brainstorming ideas, anything that comes to mind when it comes to, let's say you have an inspiration pick, you pick the picture, you add it here, and then you kind of just jot down different things that come to mind as you're brainstorming what to do with that project. And then this is cool because it does have a weekly plan. So if you are doing a project that's very long and you have so many different pieces that you want to get done and break down for every day. Now, you know my focus and my love for organization. So this is how to move along that project within the days. So obviously you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, etc. So that's that one. And then I'm not going to go through all of these because it'll take a while, but then it has all these different types of templates that you can choose from. And they keep adding it because Milanote is a fairly new platform. But if, let's say you're a writer, which I thought was really cool, you have all of these things. You have like a novel plan if you're planning to write a novel, and it kind of breaks it down on how you want to do it. You have a character profile. You want to develop a character and it just be about that. And remember, you can add a board within a board. So if you have your novel board, but then you add this one for each character that you may have, that's cool too. Then you have your story outline. You have world building, whatever that is, a story map, a character relation map. You can kind of, and this is so cool because you can kind of link everybody on how they relate to each other. And that helps you build up your, story that you're writing. So I think it's cool. And then of course the research process. So that's the writing one. Then they even have things for students. So you have your project plan. If you have a project coming up with your, just your own project or a team project, you can invite your classmates to kind of work on the project with you on this board. You can all do it together. You can add comments. They can add their piece. Somebody can put it together. You can have that whole structure. So again, they keep adding so many good things. Like obviously productivity is one of my favorites, but they keep adding so many good things, and I'm just obsessed with this platform. I won't use it as productivity just yet because I love Trello. I'm still a Trello person, and their app is not giving what it needs to give. Like it just doesn't do it for me. And I showed it in a past video where I couldn't really do anything on the iPad or even the iPhone. It just took everything out of whack. So I just like using it on a desktop. I don't tend to like that. But I want to show you, okay, so I showed you how to do a board, and then the board within a board, you'll see it right here. So I can move this literally anywhere on the board. Say I wanted to group them in one section, I can kind of do that, right? If you accidentally added a board, you no longer want it, you just literally drag it to the trash and it disappears. So let's add some other things. So if I wanted to add a link, put my link sticker inside the board, and then I'll add my link, my own name, and then my link will be here. So if you have different products, you can add your link, add it to that, and then you can add a line. So a line, what it does, it points to something, but it'll intuitively change with the item that you're pointing it to, like that. So it'll allow you to link two things together. So if this you wanted to point it to that. Now these two things are kind of linked, and you can tell somebody like, okay, that goes to that. Look at this. This is, kind of correlate the two. In order to undelete something that you might have deleted in error, hit the Control Z button like you would on your keyboard anyway, or if you're on a Mac, the Command Z. Now we did a link, and then a to-do list is literally that. You just drag it over and make your to-do list. So that's your to-do list. And of course, you're able to check it off like you would at any time. And then you will have your note. You can write any note on anything. So if I wanted to write why the reason I added this link, I can write link to fall pampas grass or whatever you want. And then your comments are going to be, if you invited someone to this board, you have a client, you will add them. You can tag them by adding the @ symbol. And if they're in the board, their name will show up. But if they're not, but they're part of your Milanote, or if you've invited them to another board, their name appear here and it'll say just to invite them over. So you'll see that happening. And again, anytime you need to trash something, just take it to the trash. Now the draw is a new feature that they did implement. And you literally click on it, and then wherever you need to draw on, you would just draw. You can use your mouse and then write. It's kind of hard to write with a mouse, but if it's just rough drawings or you need to circle something for someone, I think it's, pretty cool to do that. So then you save it. You can change the color down there and everything. And again, if you wanted to delete it, just Control Z that out. And now the other thing is a column. So you want to have, let's say this is, the research station. But you want to have different things on here. You can add a to-do list. You can add a picture and so forth. So it keeps everything kind of streamlined in one column. So that's that. And then you can always add an image. So adding an image, let's say I wanted to use this one or anything available from anywhere. I'm going to import it and drag it to my board. So now you must be wondering, how did you get your color palette in here like this? So what you're going to do is you're going to import your picture. So let's say I need the colors from this picture. You're going to click on the 3 dots, add a color. And then what you're going to do is once you have your little card, you're going to double click it, click the little color picker, and then hover over whatever color is in your picture, and it'll add it to your little color swatch. And then again, you do the same thing. If you have more than one color, you would grab it, go back to double click it, click on the color picker and go to another color, and so forth until you've created your own little color palette within that'll come up like this. So that's how you do that basically. So what I wanted to show you now is the sketch feature, which they just implemented this recently. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to sketch. So if you have a design that you need sketching for, you can open it up, you double click it to start drawing. And let's say I am the worst drawer in the world, so I'm going to draw a stick figure house, okay? So leave me alone. So you would do, your sketch. So let's say this is the outside of the house and you wanted to, this is perfectly imperfect. So, this reminds me of back in when I was a kid, drawing these stupid houses and trees. But you get the gist. If you're much better with this than I am, do you? But essentially that would be the drawing. If you wanted to change colors or erase something, you would change the color here and then just change it. And then you would save it. And then that would be your sketched plan or sketching, whatever it is that you need to do with it. So that can live wherever you want it to. And you just move it around the board as you want. So I am going to go ahead and show you now my 2 boards that I did for a client besides this one. So I'm going to show you what that looks like when someone's in there and commenting with you as well. Okay, so for the gender reveal, which I think I might have a short video on my YouTube channel. I'm not 100% sure. But this was the color palette. This is our to-do, so I wanted it to have it on the main page. This is anything we needed to buy, and I do obviously invent designs a lot, so I have a lot of inventory. So just wanted to write what I had so that we were all on the same page. We were all needed to see and what we needed to actually buy from what I already have. And so again, this was the color palette for our design. And I picked it again from our actual design board. And I'll show you that in just a minute. And then anytime I had a comment for someone, this would be, well, this was the opening comment to let them know that the board is available and ready. And then under here, I had our checklist and our actual event mood board, which is kind of a board, like I told you before, it's just kind of a board of pictures and things I just wanted to throw out there and kind of get the feel of the design and kind of get it out where I can visually see what it would look like. So this would be our event board. Event mood board that I use for inspiration. So I can kind of get the feel. So as I'm designing and I'm thinking and I'm marinating ideas, I can kind of look at this and start writing and jotting down my own things. But also the client can also see where my head is going, basically. So that was the mood board. And then we did a board for approval. So whenever I needed to shop for something, so what I would do here is I would scour the internet for things that we needed to purchase. So what we do here is I would put anything that I needed approval for. If I found like the cake topper, tutus or touchdowns was the theme of the gender reveal. But if I found 2 or 3, I wanted them to pick which one they liked the most. And so they would come in here. I would write any comments that I needed and then they will kind of reply. So that was that. They will be like, oh, I like this one, or I like that one. I hate this one. I hate that one. And that kind of based it what I was going to purchase from there. Now, the baby shower was a much bigger project. And so I kind of did the same thing where I would create a plan like this, kind of have everything in one shot. So once again, here's our color palette. I really like doing this because it gives them a visual, gives me my visual that I need. And so I wrote our important dates, our next steps, our same thing, my to-dos, our to-dos, our to-buys, the inventory at hand that I can use for this particular project. And then in this one, obviously, we added the menu, we added the locations, we added things like that. So just in the same vein as the gender reveal, I have an event mood board, kind of like this is what the mother-to-be wanted the look and feel of it to be. She found these pictures and I just added them to it, and it kind of helped me design what I needed to design from here. Not necessarily copying, but borrowing some of the ideas and kind of creating them into my own vision. So I always love to do that. And then we have my ideas in pictures. Now this is everything, all the ideas that I have in my crazy little head that I want to do and I want to execute and I want to kind of get like it. Doesn't mean that everything's going to be exact, but it kind of gives me, again, like a jumping off point. If you're a designer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's what I did with that. And then they're able to see that. So anytime I made a change, it would send them a notification that I made changes, or if they replied to something or added something, I would get a notification that they have added something. So again, it's super, super simple to kind of work with your client. And then I just made a whole board on the invitation aspects. We had a few ideas that we were going with, and I kind of wanted to do a board progression, right? So all of the ideas were here. And then finally here, we would pick the one we wanted. And then I would move it to working on details. Then I would move it to awaiting review by them, and then approved. And then once it was approved, then it would move into done. That's how that looked. And I wanted to keep it there so I can show you how I moved it along. And then as I moved it along, again, the client would see it. She would see, oh, she's working on those details. Oh, she's awaiting review. Oh, okay. It's done, everything's good, and now she's done with it. So I wanted to give the invite its own personal board because it was just so many things moving on to it. Then, of course, I have my products for approval. So everything I needed to purchase and we needed to get for this baby shower, I needed it to be approved again by the client. Again, this is the same thing as before. We just put it in here. They approved it. They liked it. Whatever they didn't like, I actually deleted as I went along, just to kind of clean up the space, because I get overwhelmed when there's so many things going on. So I kind of just streamlined that. What I did last was a final mood board. So as I started getting stuff and I actually knew I purchased the stuff, I put it into this final mood board. So now it goes from just a planning mood board to now this is the final mood board. So what I did here is I added everything that I purchased or that I created, and that is completed and ready to go. So that was the easel board with the welcome to, the cake, the backdrop, the balloons that I purchased. These are actually snowflake cupcake cake toppers edible, the cake topper itself, the balloon boxes, and the games that we were going to play. So everything was kind of here, and the locations of things like that. This is, again, our final mood board. This was it. This is where everything that was purchased and done lived here. We would work there on the final mood board to kind of put everything together for the final day. That is it. That is what I wanted to show you with Milanote and how it works, how it's going to work wonderful if you are a designer of some sort, like even a writer, as you saw the boards with the writing aspect of it, which I really loved. I'm not a writer per se. I do want to write something, but I'm not a writer. That's not my main focus. But I really liked the way they laid that out for you, and kind of you were able to put all your ideas out. So this is a good platform for that. And then, of course, like I said, these other editors, you can add more people. You can add them via a link, or you can invite them right into the board. So you can publish it via a secret link, and they'll be able to view it on a web page. They'll be able to view it, but they won't be able to make any changes. You can actually set it to have a welcome message, which is pretty cool. And you can export this. You can export the current layout into a PDF file or a PNG image, or you can convert it to Word document Markdown. Markdown would be very useful if you wanted to add it to your web page. So I'm going to show you how it looks like as a PDF, and then I'm going to show you how it looks like as a Markdown to add it to your website. So I'm going to show you that really quick. Give me 1 second and I'll be right back. I'm back, bro. Did you miss me? Anti-hoosies. So I've downloaded the project into a PDF, a PNG, and a Markdown. If you wanted a PDF version of your project, you can send over to your clients for whatever reason, or you need it yourself to print it out and put it on maybe your wall or wherever you may need it. This is what it would look like when it's downloaded. Now, obviously, if you wanted to download something like this, you kind of want to do it at the beginning. If you have a checklist and you want to carry that instead of kind of, even if you wanted to add it to your iPad under Good Notes, and then you can kind of check that off here, like boom, 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 all your to-do list, and take it with you when you're on the go. Because again, there's no iPad version of Milanote, and then the iPhone version, it's terrible. Or you can send this to your client as a PDF if you wanted to. So that's what that looks like. And then what I did is I ended up downloading it as a PNG file. So if you also wanted to have your color palette and you wanted to take it with you to do the shopping, right? So you want to make sure that you have your to-do list, you have your to-buy list, and you have your color palette. So when you're going out to shop to any of these places, you can kind of bring this along with you as a picture file instead of a PDF. So that's that. And now what I wanted to show you was when I downloaded as a Markdown, and where I would add this to. So if your website allows for markdowns, which is basically coding, you can download the Markdown section of your board. So it'll say to convert it to a linear document, you can just use Markdown right here. Of course, you can do it as a Word document as well. So I chose Markdown so that I can show you what it looks like. I'm going to add a Markdown. So I'm going to add that code that was available for me when I downloaded the Markdown version of my board. I'm going to add it here. And I'm going to go to Markdown, and then I'm just literally just going to paste what Milanote gave me. So if you understand markdowns and you understand coding, you'd be able to change some of these pieces to make it work better for your website. I'm not going to go into that because there's a lot to explain. So there goes your pictures that you had on that board. So everything from your board is literally in here, and it'll be on your website. So that's that. And then again, if you understand markdowns and you understand code, you'd be able to kind of change this into something that looks a little better, a little cleaner, and performs the way you want it to. But that's basically it. So I wanted to show you a couple of little things from Milanote. So in notifications, you can see if you've invited anyone to your board. You can see when they've made changes, when they've seen your changes, when they've added anything, and when they've checked off anything. So again, that's your notification center. If you need help, you have chat to a real person. We'll respond in a few hours. You have your keyboard, shortcuts. And also you can search within all of your boards. Let's say you needed to find invite. It'll search the word invite through all of your boards, not just one. So if you have the word invite in any of your other boards, it'll search throughout it. So it's very helpful. to find anything that you might need. And it'll scan through all of your boards and not just the one or just one. If you add anything in the Milanote, it says anything you add via Quick Notes in the Milanote iPhone app will appear here. So again, I'm not really fond of the iPhone app and definitely don't like the iPad one because they don't have one, so you have to use the iPhone one. And then when you use the actual website on your iPad, it just does not perform well. So I really hate it. So hopefully they'll upgrade that soon. But basically that is it. That is how Milanote works. You've seen what my board looks like. You see how I use them. And I hope that you find that interesting in order to do your designs, productivity. Again, they have a plethora of boards that you can choose from. There's not only just for designers. So I really wanted to bring that to light for anyone that may want to look into Milanote and don't really know what it is for. So then whatever kind of plan or design